We've got one roof now. We need to make the ventilated version. It's really similar. The main difference here is we've got these strips creating an air gap in between. I've been calling them furring strips, but they're battens in this specific case. We're going to keep the plywood underneath rather than change it. So let's edit. We got our zinc, our mechanical fastener, membrane, plywood, air gap with battens. And now the insulation can't be quite as thick because we're limited by our lumber. And then another membrane, and we'll leave a piece of plywood down here. So I'm going to come into level 0. I'm going to say roof. I'm going to tell it no because I still want it on a lower level. I'm going to come to our unventilated roof. I'm going to edit it, duplicate it, and call it ventilated roof. And now I want to come in and change the structure. So I want to take this plywood, I want to duplicate it, and now I'm going to move it up to where it is below our first membrane but above our insulation. I'm going to change our insulation to be 9.25 inches because that's how the actual dimensions of a 2x10 are. And now I need to add something above. So if I'm highlighted on level 5 and say insert, it's going to go above. I'm going to say air because we're going to manually draw these in. And I'm going to give it, if we look at our drawing, they're rectangles instead of squares, and they're not as wide as our 1.5 inch by 9.25 inch rafters. So I'm just going to call it 0.75 inches. Alright, so this is what it looks like now. I'm going to say OK, apply, OK, and now I'm going to do another rectangle. I'm going to start roughly in the area. Do 3.5 by 3.5. I'm going to say OK. And now let's take a look from our 3D copy 1. Again, it still looks like this. Before I go crazy though, I want to come into my south elevation. And I want to do a lot of the same stuff. The main difference is these are going to be tucked up inside instead of below. So I want to take my model lines. And I'm going to copy those over. Alright, so now I know where those need to go. I'll copy the roof in a minute, but first I want to drop those in. I'm going to come back to my level 0. I can't really see them from here, so it doesn't really matter where I draw them. I'm just going to draw my first beam. Go into structure, beam, and I'm just going to draw from one edge to the other. Now I'm going to come back into my south elevation. I'm going to turn on, well, it's already on detail. So I'm going to need to turn this into parts sooner than later. I'm going to come back in my 3D copy. I'm going to rename this Ventilated. I'm going to click this and I'm going to make parts out of it. All right, so now when I come in to my south elevation, now I can actually see where it belongs, and it needs to come all the way up here. Unfortunately, even if I turn off any kind of constraints when I say move, it's still not going to let me move it up as a beam. My only option is to use the offset here, my Z offset. I already know I've got an inch here, a half inch here, and that this is 9 1/4. So that would be 10.75 inches. If I can find my decimal, there we go, 10.75. And now it's in the right place. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it once. And now what about our little furring strips, or whatever you want to refer to them as? We need to create those as well. I could either do a component model in place, or I could take this, I could say edit type, I could duplicate it, and I could just call it furring strip. Again, I'm using the wrong nomenclature here. And I want it to be, the base is going to be 1 inch, because it's a little bit shorter than our 1.5 inches, or a little bit less wide than our 1.5 inches. 2x10s, and so the height is going to be 0.75. Click OK. Now it's changed this one. That's okay, because I can just copy this again, and now I can change this offset. Instead of 10 3/4, I want it to go up another 3/4 of an inch. So that gives me 11 1/2. Right, that's in the right place, that's in the right place. I can just copy one of each. So first I'll do this one, and it'll let me go sideways, just won't let me go up and down. Got that in place. All right. Now I am gonna make some reference planes, because these parts we're gonna want to divide at least the insulation, so it's not cutting through and conflicting with our stuff. If I come to Ventilated Roof and I hide this top layer because it's part of our zinc roof, and then I do shape handles for everything, you can see we're having some graphic conflict here. I can't just divide it with this, and need to create those reference planes first. But before I do that, let's go ahead and copy the roof over here. So I'm going to come in here. I want the full version, because I'm going to copy this again for our 2D. I'm going to say copy. Just going to get this top corner. Unfortunately, it's just going horizontal to start, but now I can actually, now that it's closer, I can put it in the correct, hopefully, position. Let's try one more time. Wow, it's not behaving. How unlike Revit. Come back into my top view, and do a right drag, make sure that all I have is my, I don't want my lines, I just want my 4 roofs. Alright, if that's not going to cooperate, I'm just going to have to do this. Sometimes it's not worth fighting. Alright, I've got my roof in place. Let's take a look at it. I got my parts. Again, they're gray. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to change this to softwood. Let's see if it'll let me do two at once. Yep, okay. Alright, now we want to split, right? So I'm going to come back into my south elevation. I'm going to go to architecture, reference plane. I'm going to start above and I'm going to go below. That way I know the difference. I'm going to call it just 1. Now I'm going to copy it from here to here. So now if I click on this single part, I can divide parts, intersecting references, reference planes, check all. And now these are independent. So I can come in here, I can turn on, let me come this way again. I'll filter out anything that's not parts. Now I'll turn on shape handles. So now I can snap these if it will cooperate. I'm just going to do a line. Now this one I'm going to do the same thing. Go a line and then come here. So now in theory, when I come to my ventilated roof, look at that. It's nice and split. Now obviously for a full-scale project, you might not want to come in and make a bunch of reference planes. Might be worth your while to do it similar to what we did up here, where you just make it an air gap and then you draw in your first piece of insulation as a component model in place and copy it over. That's up to you and your own workflow. Now, before I start dragging shape handles everywhere, I'm going to come into my level 0. I'm going to do a right to left so that I get my reference planes. Let's see, do I actually want to copy all this? I guess I don't really need my lines anymore, but I want my parts, I want my roofs, I want that and my reference planes. So I'm going to copy it, and I'll just come 12 feet over. And now I'm going to have to do the divide again because we just made these in a different view. So come in, divide parts. All right, come back in, filter out anything that's not a part. Turn on the shape handles. And now just use a line. I'm going to come from here to here. And now if I switch over to realistic temporarily, it looks like I went the wrong way with these. So I'm going to pull it back first. And unfortunately, yeah, we've got it's funky because we've got our roof still visible on this level, not just parts. But now I can come in, I can say line. I can pick this edge in here. Alright, we're almost there. I'm going to copy this view again. Duplicate with detailing. I'm going to call it Ventilated Roof Elevation. I'm going to hide all this stuff. Is this my crop box? This is. Alright, again, we want to change the scale. We'll start with 1 equals a foot. I want to hide and view the actual roof. Now I can hide this part. And this looks like a much bigger gap than before. Let me hide this category. I only want a ½ inch in between. And right now, looks like I got a whole inch. So I'm gonna go grab all this. And I'm going to do a negative ½ inch here. Okay, that's better. I'm going to go back to hidden line, and now it's a matter of rinse and repeat from the other one. You're putting in the correct colors, you're putting in the correct hatching. I did find a way around this. I'm going to show you. So if this is at 1 inch equals a foot, and I don't like the way this looks, what I can do first is I'm going to come in, I'm going to highlight these, and I'm going to override graphics by element. And I'm going to assign this a line weight of 1. So I don't like how thick these are with each other. I want to see a bit of a gap here. So if I come into view, nope, not view, manage, and I come down to line weights under additional settings, I can add this scale. So I'm going to add 1 inch equals a foot. Say OK. And now I'm going to say, let's see what 0.40040 looks like. Now I can actually see a little bit of a gap. And I'm a lot happier with that. Problem is, now some of this other hatching, when I draw my insulation, it's going to be the same thickness. That's fixable as well. So I'll come in, I'll do the insulation at 9.25. Find my midpoint. Where'd it go? Didn't show up. Alright, first I'll do this. Again, these are not cut, so just doing a solid fill. And now I'm going to do my insulation again. Let's see what I have here other than parts. Okay, I got insulation batting lines. I'm going to say okay, and now I'm going to right click. First I'm going to say bring to front. And if I'm still not seeing them, I'm going to say override graphics in view by category. And I'll change the line weight. Let's see what 3 looks like. That's weird, it's still not showing up. Alright, let me undo a few things here. Alright, we're back to the chunky lines. Let me put in the insulation first. Alright, it's got nothing to do with that. Must be nope, insulation's showing up. I don't have to troubleshoot that, but on my other one, it actually did work. So I'm going to go back to that one just to show it, and then I'll have to troubleshoot this one. So if I come to my unventilated, you can see I've tweaked it a little bit here, not too much. No, this is actually still the old one. So I'm going to right drag, I'm going to say override graphics in view. I'm going to do my projection lines as a 1. And so all my stuff's visible. This one is 1.5 equals 1. So I'm going to come to manage. Go to line weights. I'm going to add a new scale. Now I'm going to say 0.4. And now you can see the hatching changed everywhere. But again, I can fix that. I can come in here. I can override it again. And I can see what a 2 looks like. 2 is pretty good. So any of the ones that got thinner than I wanted, like this plywood, if I wanted to change that, I could go through and fix that. That's only if you really want to be picky like me. If you don't, then don't worry about it. I'd probably change these two to 2 as well. But this was just bugging me when it was thick. Everything else is the same. You're making another sheet. You're dropping in your 3D image where you've gone and you've done the shape handles. You've cropped it so it's just this bit. You're copying and pasting all the text. And at the end of the week, you'll have 2 sheets done, one for each style.